So this is episode 4 of the as of yet unnamed podcast related to films, media, whatever the hell else you want. Today's episode is going to be on The Flash, which came out a few days ago. So we're trying to get our episode out right now. So, I think general points. I'm going to start and just say I thought it was a pretty good time. I quite like the film. I'd give it not perfect. I wouldn't even say it's amazing, but I'd say it's pretty good. I'd say for the most part. What do you think of that, Robert? What the fuck do you think of that?
Honest opinion? That's the wrong answer, mate. What the fuck are you on? I liked a couple things, but that was probably the longest cinema experience I ever had.
Okay, Brandon?
I want to start by saying that I want to just set the ground for myself. So for example, I've never listened or watched or read a Flashpoint comic or Flash comic ever. So this is my first view of it, right? So I'm not being influenced by other pieces of media. You know what I mean? So for example, this might contradict something else, but that's matter to
Robert,
me. You know what I mean?
Is that the case for you as well?
Me?
Yeah. Are you familiar with Flash from the comics and stuff?
Yeah. Flash is, if not my favorite DC character, top 3 favorite DC characters.
So are you quite familiar with his comic history and stuff?
More the the TV shows, but the cartoon TV shows growing up. But I have read a couple of his comics, but not.
Well, I'm in the same boat as Brandon. I basically know almost nothing apart from the Flash, apart from I watched some of the CW show when it was on.
The only Flash I've seen is the Ezra Miller Flash, from Justice League to Zack Snyder's Justice League, and in this, that's the only piece. Just to sit what people think we already know, kind of thing. So overall, I'm kind of with Ryan. I feel like I like it more than I dislike it. I don't have a score yet. I'll decide on that maybe by the end. But I'm kind of sitting on the edge with you. I definitely liked more than I didn't like.
I'll just preface mine as well. I don't know if you guys want to go into yours once I've said mine as well, but going into this, I had mid to low expectations for this film as well, especially because of the marketing, and especially the last few weeks. I wasn't really into the market, and I didn't. I'll have a point in this earlier, but I had only watched the trailers a couple of times, and they were months and months ago. But I'd heard talk of big celebrities going to see this film and saying it was amazing, the best comic book film ever made or whatever.
That's bollocks. That's
bollocks.
Yeah, that's a bit far.
I remember hearing that as well, and I was over Dark Knight Rises or Logan, talking out their ass.
But so I had kind of low expectations going in because of that anyway, because I thought, well, it seems like they're overcompensating for a kind of ass film. It's not, I don't think it's an ass film, and I think it's quite good, but I think if I'd went in with the expectation that this is going to be an amazing film, I could be disappointed, but I wouldn't say I'd be majorly disappointed. I don't know what your guys' expectations were before you went in and seen it were.
So typically with films, I either go in really excited or neutral. I prefer not to go in with already a negative view. So for example, some of us are thinking oh, Indiana Jones looks kind of meh. Or we've heard some mess stuff.
Name names if you want, mate.
Well, both of you then. so, for example, for me, I'm just I think it looks alright. I'm not gonna let that influence my decision going in. When I sit in the seat, I like to just empty all my thoughts and just watch. I did the same for the Rise of Skywalker and stuff. I just whatever. I'm just gonna sit there and watch the film. But it's different if I'm excited for a film. I wouldn't say I was particularly excited for The Flash, because I kind of saw through all the comments, you were saying, Tom Cruise and stuff. I don't care what they're saying, because that could easily be just influenced, so it's just bollocks. So yeah, I kind of went in with neutral thoughts, and I wasn't really sure what to expect, because again, I'm not really. I know the bare minimum of what the Flashpoint story's about, but besides that, I didn't know anything. So yeah.
So for me, I went in. Before I had gone in, watching Ezra Miller in the first Justice League film, I have not been a fan of his performance playing the Flash. Like, I think he's an amazing actor and like outstanding in all of his work, and I think he acts great playing the Flash. But like, I don't like him as the Flash. So I definitely went in a biased opinion of like I don't like him. So I tried to go in with a positive view of like, right, let's try and like other aspects of the film, because I knew I wasn't going to like him. But I said to you guys that if they get me to like him, I'll like bump this up to an 8.
I'm assuming it's not sitting at an 8.
Yeah.
Sorry to disappoint you, folks. We did warn you in episode 1 and 3.
It's it's not as low as Black Adam, I'll give it that. But it's
no, this was a much better film than Black Adam, I thought.
Yeah.
I still like the Black Adam, but this is better. I would say 100%.
Well, yeah, same. I didn't mind Black Adam either.
I did not like it.
Right, so I think
we should start off by saying there is going to be spoilers.
Oh yeah, this is good shout. This is a spoiler episode. We probably will be going into spoilers as soon as we start talking about it. So if you've not seen the film,
absolutely.
two of the three can recommend that you could go see the film. Obviously,
I personally would say just don't bother wasting your life.
2 out of 3 ain't bad. Let's move on. Right. So I'd like to start with like some general points on positives, and then we can go into some criticisms, because I think we all have a bit of both. Just ratios will be.
No, I made sure to bring positives.
Okay. Good. Right. So if I start, I'll start us on the obvious track, or in fact, you know what? We'll start with the Flash. I was going to bring up Batman, but let's just start with Flash because it's his story.
Yeah. So it's called the Flash. We should probably
pay him some respect.
I thought in general the humor was quite well done. There's a few jokes didn't land, but I think overall, especially after seeing like Across the Spider-Verse, a lot of the humor in that didn't really land for me. So seeing the humor in this, it kind of was like awkward, and I don't know. I kind of like this humor, and I'm not even, just to follow on from Robert's point from the intro of the Zack Snyder series. I'm not the biggest fan of the DC universe at the moment, so this is that's kind of part of the reason I wasn't too excited to go into this film, because I don't really have expectations.
To be fair, what is the DC universe? Like, what do we think
yes,
these
but we were saying just before the podcast, like I haven't seen Man of Steel in like probably half a decade. I've seen Batman vs Superman probably twice. I don't even remember the names of half of them. Like the normal Justice League, I think I've seen once, maybe not even all the way through. And I've seen Zack Snyder's Justice League. To be fair, I did sit down and watch that for 4 hours, and I quite enjoyed that. But I probably wouldn't watch it again for a good while. So, but I think I'm on Robert's. This is supposed to be positives, but just following on, I also don't really buy Ezra Miller as the Flash. But I think that's probably just to do with his look rather than the way he acts. Because I think in this film he actually did quite a good job of like balancing the humor and. Anyway, so I like the opening to the film. I think it's a good decision. Obviously, it's the only decision is to open the film up in the basically what is the Zack Snyder universe, right? The old DCEU or whatever. I thought Batman was quite cool. I liked the more kind of comic booky, kind of over the top action pieces. I liked Batman, the way he would like glide, like he shot him, like when they cut the big explosion, he shot himself off his bike, and then the way he kind of like catches the wind on his glider felt really like satisfying. This is Ben Affleck Batman, yeah. I wasn't the biggest fan on his suit, but he's only in it for like 5 minutes, so I guess it's not the biggest issue, but I get what they were going for as well with the grey and the blue to kind of match the comics or the animated series, but it looked a bit funny, but I'm not going to hold that against it too much. I thought the baby shower joke was hilarious, and that probably says more about me than the film, but I thought that was a fun scene because I could kind of see it coming as well, and I was like, oh, they're not doing this today. And then it started, and I thought, it's pretty fun actually, like, fair enough. Nice to see Jeremy Irons again. I mean, again, not the
that was a surprise. I did not know he was going to be in the film. I was, because I liked him as Alfred.
Yeah, I thought that whole opening set piece was pretty good. I don't know if you guys want to comment on that.
The baby scene.
I completely disagree with all you said, but carry on. I like the shower joke, the baby shower joke.
Okay,
that did make me laugh.
Is there a specific reason why
I
you
think
didn't like it?
for me, I was completely put off by the CGI, and I hate how when he's in speed mode, it's slow, and he just looks so like deformed, and it's weird, and I can't enjoy it. It's like it's the way he runs and the way he does everything, and when and
I will say I'll agree. I get that it's like a meme and they make fun of it in the film later on the way he runs, but I do kind of wish he just ran normally.
yeah,
as well.
And for me, every time he does it, it like really like just I'm like, oh, it took me out of the movie. Sorry, like I couldn't enjoy the scene for what it was.
Right.
And especially how bad that CGI was in that scene. That really like
the baby shower scene.
Yeah, like the baby's falling out the building, and then they're just falling, and there's a random therapy dog, and also they burnt a microwave, put the baby in the microwave, and then set the dog on top of a burnt microwave, so it'd be like boiling hot, and then put the microwave next to the babies, and the baby's inside the microwave touching the thing, and everyone's happy. I'm like, bro, that really irritated me. I know it's absolutely nothing because it's a superhero film, and I shouldn't have been irritated by that. But the dog would have died, and the baby would have died, and the baby next to it would have died. That really took me out of the scene as well. Just so you know.
Random.
I thought it was just a funny scene because like I just love the way it started though, because it's like I actually love this part for the whole film as well, because I don't know if this was in the previous films, but I love how they incorporated the sort of calorie deficit part of aspect of the running. I really like that.
Really like
because it just makes sense. So like I loved when like he's like low on energy. And he's supposed to save the babies, and he instantly goes to like the vending machine. I freaking love that. That was so
good.
funny. but I get what everyone's saying. The CGI was pretty poor for the whole film. Like I will 100% say that. And I know the director came out and said it's supposed to look bad. Bullshit.
Yeah,
I'm not taking that.
Absolutely rubbish. Like,
I am not taking that. 100%.
I don't know if I just as soon as the kind of I got the vibe from the film at the start, I was a bit like, this isn't going to be like a Dark Knight. This isn't going to be that kind of thing. So I kind of not forgave it, but I was a bit like I could just suspend my disbelief a bit more. So the CG, to be honest, it didn't bother me until the very end of the film. Like I noticed things that were annoying, like especially his suit at times, where it felt really like smooth and sleek and kind of like a bit like MCU Spider-Man, but worse. But to be honest, until the end, it really didn't bother me that much.
Like, see even when you would see him talking to himself, or like when you saw certain shots of like certain characters, and 1 second their face had no like wrinkles or was completely smooth and very like animated, and then it was like oh, back to like them, like the actors playing it. Like, did that not put you off at all throughout the movie?
I never even noticed that one.
See.
Are you talking about when there's two flashes?
Yeah, like when they're side like.
Bro, 100%. That took me out.
Because oh mate, it was awful. When you
never even noticed that once. I might have to go watch this again.
When you watch The Parent Trap with Lindsay Lohan and you watch The Flash, my gosh, man, like Lindsay Lohan, when you're watching Parent Trap and it's the exact same little girl, like right next to each other, they look like completely different people, and it doesn't look awful, but that was horrendous.
Yeah, there's some scenes where like one of the Flashies just have a plastic looking face when they're talking to each other, and I'm like, that's bad. But for the most part, it was fine.
Is there
but
a specific scene you can remember,
scenes,
or? Maybe my cinema screen was just shite or something, but I guess maybe. just for the record, I never picked up on that once the entire film. This is the first time hearing of that being an issue. So I'll maybe go see it on a bigger screen, and that'll be.
I think it's one of those
5,
things
but...
where it's like as soon as I noticed it the first time, I couldn't not see it going forward.
Okay.
Because I pick up on that stuff a lot with like CGI faces.
Well, usually I do as well, but I don't know. I don't know why I didn't this time. But
no,
fair
that's
enough.
fair then.
Okay. Point 2 I have written in my little notepad. Because see, this is a thing that kind of bothers me about especially after Guardians of the Galaxy came out, is everyone wanted to be Guardians of the Galaxy with their soundtrack. I thought this film nailed the soundtrack. I thought overall the soundtrack was pretty great in this film, and it not only was it like just good songs, obviously, but also fit quite well. Because that tends to be my annoyance, is that they pick good songs but they don't go with what's happening. I thought the soundtrack in this one was quite well suited to what was going on. Because usually, if there's even like Guardians of the Galaxy 3, one of my main complaints was I didn't like the song choice. I didn't think it fit the film that well. And the first 2 films for Guardians of the Galaxy, I came home and I instantly looked up the playlist and added like most of the songs to my playlist. I never did that for Guardians 3 for a reason, because I didn't like the songs. I came home after watching The Flash and thought, shoot, I'm going to add some of these songs to my playlists, because I was pretty impressed as well. So I thought the soundtrack was pretty good. Yeah.
I honestly can't remember a single song from The Flash, but there was no point where it took me out. So you're probably right. Like it fit the scene, but I can't. I don't remember any songs. But
I thought in general,
maybe that's just me though.
Fair enough. I thought in general the Barry duo was pretty great as well. I liked that they had young Barry, who was just an annoying prick, and old Barry, who was telling him he was an annoying prick, but he was also just a little bit less of an annoying prick. I don't know. I quite liked their little duo, and I thought the kind of spat they had towards the end was kind of probably could have been better built up to as well. But I thought it was semi-earned as well.
So like I do this with a lot, especially with films and stuff, because obviously this film had a lot of controversy with Ezra Miller. So I quickly kind of removed that aspect for me. Like I know everyone can't do that, but I did. So I was watching Barry Allen, not Ezra Miller, right? So like, whatever, if I'm complimenting the actor, obviously I'm not like, saying he should get away with whatever or anything. I'm just purely like commenting on the performance. I thought he did a pretty good job, especially because he's acting against himself for the most part. So it's like, I think that's pretty well done. But he's always been a good actor. That's the only thing. That's the sad thing about this whole situation, because he is a good actor. Maybe if he didn't, like for Robert's case, maybe he didn't represent the Barry Allen he likes. But with the Barry Allen he's given in this film, I think he did pretty well. Even with like the sort of stutters or like shaking and stuff, like that was always a factor in the film. No, that's fair. That's fair. Okay. All right, next point.
So, anything? I mean, I think that's kind of. I don't know. I don't think I have much else to say. I'll probably bring other points up later. But if you guys are ready, I'm willing to go into Batman.
Well, let's set the scene then, right? Well, Michael Keaton.
You know what? You are probably the most nostalgic for Michael Keaton. So why don't you?
I'd say we should set the scene in the sense of what's all of our previous sort of history with Michael Keaton Batman, like how much does that play a factor in nostalgia? So, for example, for me, I grew up with him. I think he was my first Batman. Him and Jack Nicholson, Joker, like those were like my first. Like current, like obviously nowadays, I don't think they're the best because I've got like Heath Ledger and I've got other great Batmen and stuff like that. It definitely doesn't hold up in my opinion. Some people might argue it does. I don't think so. It's definitely a product of its time. I still have love for it because I grew up with it, but I'm not going to like defend it. But like I do have like that sort of nostalgia for Michael Keaton Batman. So like growing up, he was my Batman. He's what I grew up with. So that's me. I'll pass it on to you guys. Explain your situation.
So for me, I had only watched his two Batman films last week. I've never seen them before, and I personally I didn't mind them. I thought there was a lot of good aspects to them.
Yeah.
I think the thing is as well, the films are just, like Brandon says, one of their time, but also two, they're going at different things, right? Because Batman '89 is clearly aimed at probably younger kids, right?
It's pretty dark as well at times, though.
It is, but when you see people online who are nostalgic for it, it's people who grew up in the '80s.
Yeah.
So it is probably aimed at like young teenagers or young kids, as in the people who enjoy it were that age when it came out.
Yeah. No, 100%.
So for a lot of people, obviously, that's their Batman. I'm not in that boat. I probably the middle ground between Robert and Brandon, where I didn't grow up with Keaton Batman, but I saw his films a lot longer than a week ago. I reckon probably.
At least you came prepared, Robert. At least you came prepared.
Yeah.
I saw him in the trailer, and I was like, I should probably watch his films.
Yeah.
So, like, I enjoy the Keaton films. I probably wouldn't watch them unless they were already on.
Yeah.
But I mean, I quite enjoy them. I enjoy Keaton. I think
Keaton's definitely
especially
the highlight of his films.
Danny DeVito as Penguin as well. I really like Danny DeVito Penguin. That second film is absolutely batshit mental as well. I quite like stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I really like Michael Keaton's probably one of my favorite actors though, just outside of Batman. I'm not that nostalgic for Batman Keaton himself, but I really love basically whatever Keaton's doing on screen in any film.
Oh, that's fair. He is.
So
him and Bird. Is it Birdman?
Birdman, yeah.
Oh me. Oh.
The Founder as well. I really loved him in The Founder.
The Founder is great.
Such a prick, but you like to hate him. But yeah, so like following on from that, I thought he was great in this film. I thought what he was given was a bit shoddy, but I thought him as a Batman was really great. I thought they introduced him in a really cool way where well, I don't know if I'd grown up with the films and then you see him as kind of like a hermit, like past his best. I don't know if that would agree with everyone, but
when I saw it, I was kind of like, oh, this is like Luke Skywalker all over again.
I mean, the only thing I guess that's redeeming about that is he's like, oh well, Gotham's a safe place now, so there's no real need for Batman. But I feel like Batman would still get up to things even if Gotham was safe, right?
I don't know, because
would he not just go elsewhere? I mean, there's plenty of crime else in the world, right?
Actually, I made a point about this, but I'd want to go into that later.
Okay. Well, put a little. We'll take a rain check on it, and we'll bring it up later.
Yeah, because I did make a point about that situation, because I really liked his introduction, but I thought there was a big thing missing from him, or like a lot of potential missing from his storyline. But we'll go into that later.
I think it's a bit strange as well because he is kind of the mentor figure, obviously, because he's like the older superhero. But it seems like he also knows things that he should have no reason knowing as well.
Like the multiverse or whatever.
Like, how the fuck
does he know about that?
Yeah. Well, that for one. Two, what universe are we actually in? Because this is Michael Keaton as Batman, but this is not the Michael Keaton Batman, right? Yeah. From the '89 films. This is not the same one.
Are you sure?
Well,
I think it's hard to really get an answer. The way I kind of viewed it is not like Spider-Man, like Tobey Maguire and Andrew and Tom. I don't see it like that because I don't. It's not like they try to tie in that storyline into the film. To me, it's just like, all right, we're having a different Batman. We might as well just cast an actor that people are going to recognize that played Batman, because they didn't have anything else that kind of tied it in.
Yeah, the only thing that was there was like the Batwing and the Batmobile, but there's
I
nothing.
guess, yeah.
There was a few like Easter eggs, obviously, like the laughing bag and stuff, but I never got the impression that this was like the cool, quirky world of Tim Burton.
Really?
100%, never got that.
No, see, as soon as you rocked up to his like mansion.
No, it just I honestly, like, if you watch the Tim Burton films, like, I wish they'd filmed it like a Tim Burton film if that's what they were going for, because.
Or like that whole part.
Well, because it's weird to be in the setting of the quirky Batman world of '89, but not have any of the actual style. Just to have purely the aesthetic or the object things in that world, just without any of the like the Tim Burton style behind it. I guess it just felt really odd to me.
No, that's fair. That's a good point.
Having said that, one of my best. I love the the little Batmanisms. The bat kite. I love the bat kite. That was amazing. Like, we need to get struck by lightning. Let's send up our little kite.
I know.
It's a fucking bat symbol. That was great.
I was like,
of course it's a bat.
Yeah, you just got it lying around, a little kite.
I know. In my head, I was like, because that's not going to get anyone to notice him at all. But it was funny. It did make me that definitely made me chuckle. 100%.
But okay, so if we go, so yeah, I thought the fight that they introduced him in was great as well. I thought that was really it was a really fun fight.
Yep, I agree with it. I really liked how just at that moment, that for the new Flash. I wish they gave each other different names because that was so annoying. Like the new Flash, that he just got the powers, and then the main Flash has lost his powers, and so there's that whole like the new guy's just totally like not whipping Batman's butt, but like not getting touched, and then the OP Flash is getting his ass handed to him. That I really liked that. I thought that was quite different.
Yeah, that was good. Yeah, I thought the introduction was great. Just I get what you're saying with the whole Luke Skywalker thing, where it's like you kind of get a vibe. But I think this is what they should have done with Luke Skywalker, was at least you get like him kicking ass down the line. You know what I mean? So it's like this is what Luke should have been like, in my opinion, in his film. But yeah.
Sorry to the people who had to listen to our 3-hour conversation of Star Wars last time, and then again we're bringing it up.
Yeah, but we won't get into that.
No more Star Wars.
But yeah, so what, are we going to continue with Batman, or are we just talking about that first scene?
No, continue talking about Batman. Just bring up something. Well, go for some of your favorite points of what you thought about Keaton and some of his scenes.
Bro, having his theme back was
man,
best.
It was so good.
Oh my god!
Do you know what it put me into? It put me into when me and my brother were playing the very first Lego Batman game, Christmas Day. I was like, oh, bro, this is so good.
It's honestly probably one of my favourite themes. Did John Williams do that theme?
No, Danny Elfman.
Danny Elfman.
Yeah, he did Sam Raimi Spider-Man and stuff like that.
Shoot. Oh, that honestly, like every time I heard it, I was just smiling. It's so freaking nostalgic for that.
I definitely think Keaton was not for me personally. He wasn't the only saving grace, but he definitely was like 80% of it. Like he really made each scene better. Because like before that, I was just like, can this hurry up? And then when they introduced him.
Can this Flash film hurry up?
Yeah, man.
Oh.
and then when they introduced them, I really liked the pacing of it, and like I was more in, except from the CGI bit, I was more involved and like really enjoyed the story.
I thought that Keaton was what I said before is I liked Keaton, but I think some of the stuff he was given was a bit shoddy. I think I'd have liked to see because like Keaton in his own films is he's a bit of a psycho, right? Like he gets a bit angry. Like he's like, you want to get nuts? Let's get nuts.
Yeah, let's get nuts.
I'd have liked to see a bit more of that. Maybe like his more wild side because he's pretty reserved in this one, and I guess that's because he's old now, right? But I'd have liked to have seen a bit more like him just go like batshit at one point.
Would that not go with your thing then of like that's not the Keaton we know?
I guess so, but then like to bring back the character, to bring back him as Batman, and then set it in like an alternate world, and he's got an alternate personality, then what's the point? I guess other than just like clout. But I that's what I mean. I'd have rather have like you go full Tim Burton and you go full like wild Keaton, because I'm not saying he's like that in every scene, but like you know what I mean. Like it's a pretty wacky film, and he gets his wacky moments, and like he gets some pretty like aggressive moments as well.
He is mental. He is like a mental.
But yeah, he felt quite like probably what like more to what a Keaton Batman film would have been today rather than what it was back then. But I thought a lot of his fight scenes were great. I'm glad they went because I'm glad they didn't make him like old man Batman and he wasn't able to like kick ass. I'm glad that they were like, look, Keaton's getting old, but we can just CG in or like body double when he's in the suit. So let's just have him kick ass. And I'm glad they just went for that. And you got to see some really cool action with Batman. I thought his use of like gadgets and stuff was pretty good. I think my favorite scene in the film, regardless if it's even to do with Batman or not, was like the favorite shot was when they dive out of the bat wing, and because I was waiting for even though I'm not nostalgic for the original films, one of my favorite scenes is when the bat wing goes in front of the moon and you get the bat symbol. I just love that. But
and it was at an angle this time, and it was kind of like do you know what, that was definitely my favorite scene as well.
I think that I'll be quick. But I was waiting for it because I was like, the Batwing is probably going to get shot down in this film, and I was like, I want them to do it before I know they can anymore. And then they were going over like Siberia, and I thought, come on, like I thought we would have had it by now. I thought we would have had it. And then the theme song plays, they eject out, and then he's like diving down, and it's in the background. And I thought, fuck, man, that is. I'm not even nostalgic, but that hit me. I was like, dang, that is.
I'm going to try and get a picture of it just to get
it remind myself. Really cool.
It was really good. It was a good shot. The only complaint I think I had about the Keaton thing, that's not story wise, but like his suit. Like, as much as I love his suit and that he can't turn his head, and he has to turn his whole body, I would have liked to have seen that, like that upgrade of it's been a while now, and we saw that he had like different variations of suits, right? But I think it would have been nice to have seen him have like a completely like upgraded suit. Because we got that with Affleck, and that was I wasn't a fan of the suit. I did like when he wasn't CGI'd and it was actually him. I did like it. But that was my only thing of like, I love Keaton's original suit, but I would have liked to have seen a little upgrade or something different.
Yeah. I think maybe in general a point on Keaton as well is that it felt a bit like after his films were done that character just like lost consciousness and just sat in a room for 40 years just waiting for Flash to turn up. Whereas I would have maybe liked to have seen like some of the like remnants of some of the escapades he'd been up to since his films, because obviously you had like the Joker bag, so it's obviously like hinting at the Jack Nicholson Joker that he fought him in the first film. I think there was a few other props lying about from some of the other films, but like they mentioned Alfred as well, but maybe like I don't know, like mention Catwoman or Robin or something like that, or the Penguin, or just like off the cuff, or just like maybe someone he's fought since. Like you could mention like that he'd maybe met Mr. Freeze or something. I don't know.
Well, no, absolutely. I had said that in one of my points as well, that it's like it did feel like it's a start, like you start as two films, you pause, and then you just leave it, and then you play again for Flash, and it's just like a little time different. Like he's just been frozen in time.
Yep.
I do agree. There
It's
wasn't.
a tough thing because the original Batman movies, they're already confusing enough because the Val Kilmer one and George Clooney one, they're still meant to be the Michael Keaton Batman. So it's confusing as it is. So like you know, because it's the same Alfred in all those films, it's the same Alfred actor. You know what I mean? And I swear they reference like the previous films. But yeah, so like I kind of get why they didn't, because it's like confusing enough for people to be like, because if they did like Mr. Freeze stuff, they'd be like, oh, I thought that was like George Clooney's villain, but then people are like, well, yeah, it's the same franchise, you know. But so it's just, I think it's confusing. I get what you're saying though. It would have been nice to see some more Easter eggs, but
I didn't know that was the same franchise. I just thought they hired the same guy to play Alfred.
nah, I'm pretty sure. I might be wrong, but I feel like I'm pretty. I don't know why they keep the Alfred if they're starting fresh.
Well, they did that with James Bond, right? With M.
I guess, but James Bond like changes like at that point, like James Bond was constantly like changing about anyway.
Not fair
So
enough.
like people know they're not like connected. I know there's like theories now, but like they're not canon. Whereas like Batman at the time, it was like it was concise of like, okay, like next movie sequel. Da, 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 da. But anyway, we won't drag on this.
So, any more positives on Batman?
Bro, I just loved everything, so like I can't have no complaints.
I said this to Brandon last night, I loved it when Batman joined Al Qaeda and just fucking kamikaze that alien ship. That was fantastic. It was just like, well, ejector seat's fucked, let's fly into this fucking, like, let's not try and land and like get out of this thing, punch the glass open, let's just fucking plow into this alien ship that has a shield.
The best thing was though, the best thing is when he goes again, and Flash is like, it's got a shield, and he's like, okay.
Honestly, that was unironically the funniest bit in the film, where they go back in time to go rescue Batman from dying, and instead of going back like 5 minutes and going, oh, by the way, in Batman, in 5 minutes, don't fly into that ship, they waited till the last second. Batman's on his approach again to the ship, and he's like, oh, I'm gonna fucking kill myself. And then they go, Batman, it's got shields, don't do it. And he's like, oh, okay. And then he just flies around it. And I'm like, yeah. Alright.
Alright.
No, it was that was for me, that was my biggest. I really enjoyed that part, but it was also my biggest complaint with Keaton for a really golden opportunity that they had missed out. That I personally believe. But
right.
I'll wait till my turn and then go on that big rant.
I mean, so one, any more points on Batman, and two, any more positives of the film overall?
Is also, we finished off more positive aspect, like points here.
Well, or just anything else you want to talk about in positives.
Oh mate, I've got a list.
Okay, well, work your way through then. We'll see.
Okay, so I really liked Superwoman for the short time we had her.
I mean, she was just nothing, mate. She was just a nothing burger.
Did you guys not like her? No, she was nothing, and it was very like.
She was boring, bland,
but
like.
But she's the exact same as Clark. I personally really liked her, and I really liked her style and her look.
Right. I thought her look was good. I'll give you that. Yeah.
For me, she looks the best out of everyone. Like there was a clear, like, okay, you know, like people actually paid attention to her, because I hated the Flash's outfit, but like she looked really good in this. But I personally liked her. I thought
the design was bad. I thought I noticed the CGI was quite bad for her at times, and I thought her first fight looked quite bad. I thought that her design was really cool though. I did like the suit.
No, that's fair.
I liked her intro as well. I liked the bit when like Batman put his hand up. Like I'd have taken more shots like that, like really interesting stuff where he like sticks his hand up and he's like, "We try not to die," and then he just like moves his hand and she's like flying behind. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
I'd have taken a lot more stuff like that, a bit more stylish. But
the biggest complaint I had for her was the second she got healed, and her and Barry on the roof, and then she's like moping and moaning, and then flies away, and then she goes to see Zod, and then he just kills the army, and then she just flies back, and she's like, "I've got you." and it made me chuckle because I was like, that was probably like the fastest and most pointless like character development
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
It
had
was a bit quick,
seen.
wasn't it?
It was really quick because I would have liked to have seen maybe she had gone and spoke to Zod, and then seen that Zod's trying to kill her, or like trying to like get her blood or whatnot, and then she's like, oh shit, you know, you know, these aren't the guys.
I think had she not been so pointless towards the end of the film, I think I would have liked her a lot more. But because all of her scenes that I liked anyway, I was a bit like, well, she wasn't in it that much for one. Like, I liked the bit when she grabs Barry and takes him into the cloud, and he gets struck by
Yeah,
lightning. Like, there's some cool stuff in it, but like you say, she's not in it all that much. There's not much development goes on.
and the development that did go on was too fast. It was like really
Yeah,
fast. Yeah,
but also like I get the impression that they just wanted a big battle at the end, and they were like, how do we up the stakes? We get Kryptonians, we get Zod, and I thought that was a great idea, executed really poorly.
yeah.
And then I thought the thing was they were like, because honestly, I would have taken no Supergirl, and I would have taken Batman, Flash, and Flash against Zod, and I feel like that would have been much better because it meant that the big villain at the end of your film, the Flash barely interacted with him, and it was mostly Supergirl going after Zod,
Well,
and
that's
it
it.
felt odd.
That's the big thing about the film that I really dislike is the two main villains of the film were in it for like 5 minutes, and it is just like the most pointless thing. And I'm like, I get if you're doing a story and there's not a villain in it, but this one there was villains in it, and and both of the villains were just poorly executed, and it was like, oh,
I think the other villain
amazing.
amazing with not too much more work, to be honest. Think I would have rather, I haven't seen like all the film. I think I'd have rather had a more of a focus on the Dark Flash character and
Well,
have that
see,
character recur a bit more or something like that, or I don't know.
well here,
I'd have rather had this like be a more concentrated story on Barry, which I thought in general it was quite good. Even when Batman was on screen, obviously Batman had a lot of the cool moments, but I thought it was generally quite well focused on Barry.
yeah,
But I feel like if you're gonna do that and you're gonna have the villain that is turns out to be younger Barry, then I don't think you need to set that up any earlier because it's a twist, obviously. But I think you need to do more work on the road to that.
I I agree with that because like I thought they were going to do that it was like that Barry the version of Barry that sorry the new version of Barry was going to turn into the Reverse Flash. That's what I thought they had set up, and that guy that we were seeing was like the Reverse Flash, and I was like, oh, that's quite interesting. But then it wasn't.
I mean, he was basically a Reverse Flash just without the name, though, right?
Yeah,
Like,
but I just I just didn't like how it was
yeah.
executed.
That's the thing.
Like
I like the idea on paper. I've like your younger protagonist, like the younger version of your protagonist being the bad guy. I quite like that idea, and I knew it was coming, but I was okay with it. But I feel like yeah, like I said, it could have been done quite a bit better.
I think I would have been more okay with it if it was done better because how like bad it was done. I just didn't like. I wasn't happy or impressed by it. I was
For me, it was just resolved too quickly. I think when he got involved
yeah
at the end, like he kind of showed up and then it was instantly fixed, and then he goes away. I'm like, okay, like is he the main villain? Like...
To even give an example of what that could have been, it feels weird to bring in like the big multiversal balls and
Yeah.
bring in your Dark Flash character and your Good Flash character and not have them do like a Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness and just fall through
yeah
the
and
worlds.
yeah.
It feels a bit
I
strange.
really didn't like the last.
We'll get into those though. We'll
Yeah.
get into those. I'm sure that'll be a big point.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'll give my little thought on
Okay.
Supergirl. I think overall, I think it was decent. Nothing spectacular. Nothing. I wouldn't say it was bad either though. There are some bits like certain shots I liked. Like for example, you said the Batman hand when she's in the sky. That was cool. When I loved. Only this is really going to make sense if you're a fan of it. But like I loved how when you see her hand on the snow and you see the sun go over it, you see that her powers are coming back. I love that because that's
Yeah.
like,
She,
yeah,
like, fills
I
out a
really
bit.
like that as a shot.
Yeah.
I loved there's a scene that I loved where she's asking about Cal to Sod, where she's like, "What did you do to him?" and stuff like that. Because like her whole point's like they're to protect them, right? So and then when Zod's like, "He did not survive the process," I was like, "Oh!" And then she goes ham. Like I did like that.
Yeah.
I don't like how she had the upper hand over him. Obviously, she dies like for the most part, or in all parts, because that's like a canon part of the story where she has to die. So I do like, I don't know, like Zod should kind of own her. I think I get that she's angry, but like Zod's like, you know, the
A
freaking
general,
general of freaking, you know, like he had like, I'm not gonna say like, oh, he handed Henry Cavill's ass to him, so therefore because that's different because she's older than him technically. So
Yeah.
like I get that, but yeah. So for the most part, I like it. I think for me, it's like I liked her look in general, but to me, it's like I'm really stumped because it's like you have a lot of people that it's usually the same kind of people that complain like, oh, that's not comic accurate, but then they're fine if they change the look or ethnicity of a character. So I'm like, why? Like, why not? Why did you change the look? I get that she looks like more Henry Cavill family with like the dark hair and all that.
Well,
But
is
like,
your opinion the same with Flash?
I guess, but I don't have like I
Well,
don't have like a general opinion on Flash
then
though. Whereas like I've seen Supergirl before, you know.
I don't know. I don't mind it too much because it's like it's a multiverse. It's like just a completely different version, right? So like
I get
so like I personally don't mind that because they did that with Keaton, right? Like it's not Ben Affleck. So like I personally don't mind it. Like stuff like that, I'm like, fair enough, go wild, like go to your heart's content. If it's like the main universe, I would agree with you, and I'd like to see like the main looks because that's why I don't like Ezra Miller's look. Because if they made Ezra Miller, you know, like the normal Flash, and then they brought us in and it was a dark haired Flash, I would have no issue with that whatsoever.
right.
So, well, my last point on Supergirl is, and I think it follows on from maybe what you were saying, Brandon, is I honestly, the ethnicity thing didn't even cross my mind because part of that was I never felt the presence of she was a Kryptonian, really. I never got the thing of like, oh shit, like even like her battle, like clearly she was moving faster, but in a film where your protagonist is like running faster than the speed of light, I think you need more than just speed and strength to be like, oh shit, they're Kryptonian. Like I never felt like the Henry Cavill, like the presence like of Superman. You know what I mean? Like when if you'd seen Henry Cavill on screen, you'd have been like, fuck man, like this guy's like someone else. I never got that from her where I was like, man, she's got like this aura of like, damn. She just felt
Like she's a
yeah,
god.
she just felt
Essentially,
like
yeah.
another powerful being, just in a group of powerful
She
beings.
can fly.
Yeah.
Do you think that was due to how poorly written the story was, or do you think that was
Well,
like
because I don't think the story was that poorly written until the very end. So no.
But that's when she came in.
I thought it was pretty strong when she came in.
I'd say she came
Yeah.
in the midpoint of the film. I think for me, she just needed more screen time, or just extend the film a little bit longer to give her more time. To me, honestly, that's probably my biggest complaint with the film is that I feel like they rushed through some stuff. For example, the Reverse Flash or her. So it's just like just extend the film a
It
little
could have
bit.
definitely been
you know?
like a two-part film.
I guess, but I hate
know,
those
like,
films. so I guess
either you could have trimmed out some of the guff at the start with them breaking into the research lab. You could have trimmed that down and put more time towards the end, or you make it a longer film. I don't know if I would have liked this as a two-parter, especially just because they did that with us with Spider-Man 2 weeks before.
I like
that would be annoying.
I like two-parters, so I personally don't mind.
Robert likes death and two-parters.
Noted.
Noted.
I think I said to you, Ryan, the last thing as well is that I think we're all going to agree on this. I don't think she should have been in the trailers at all because in the film
I agree.
they're building up for so long that they're looking for Henry Cavill, and I know you could say the same with Michael Keaton, but you get Michael Keaton pretty much straight away. Whereas this is like it's a build up for half an hour. of like, oh, we're going to find Henry Cavill, but is it Supergirl? But everyone in the cinema knows it's Supergirl that they're going to find.
So we did talk about this last night. So one of my points was, and I referenced this at the start of the podcast, was that I hadn't seen the trailer in a really long time. So I forgot she was in the film, especially because I was just watching the film. I was kind of just like turn my brain off and just watch it. So I actually forgot Supergirl was even in this. So when they were saying, "Oh, we need to go to Siberia," I honestly thought the dumbass in my brain just triggered and went, "Oh, they're doing Red Sun Superman," and I was like, "Fuck, man, we're getting like Soviet Superman." Oh my god, that's gonna be dope. And we got there, and then they opened the door, and it was like Supergirl, and I thought, of course it is. She was in the fucking trailer. I remember seeing this whole fight scene in the trailer. What a dumbass! But I was so overhyped for like Red Sun Superman, and I thought that was such a great idea, and then they just didn't, and I was like, oh.
That's
honestly,
that's not their fault. That's on me. But having said that, if you aren't someone who watched the trailer and you went and seen this film, but you were a DC, I don't know what the demographic of people who didn't watch the trailer but are DC fans are, but had you been in that case, I feel like you'd have been thinking Red Sun Superman.
Oh no, definitely. If you take out that whole trailer point, 100% get what you're saying, and especially if you're a Superman fan, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So, yeah, but well, further in that point as well, I do think this film suffers from a lack of Henry Cavill in general, because you get almost everyone else.
I put that as a point of like,
Did you stay for the post credits?
Yeah, but you don't get him in the movie, right? And you don't get Cyborg, and you don't get Henry Cavill, but you get Affleck and Wonder Woman.
To be honest, don't give a shit about Cyborg, and I'm not even a big fan of Momoa. I guess that's just me, but
no, personally, like I think he's definitely helped Aquaman as a character, and like making him look badass. But other than that, his movies are alright.
Yeah.
But there was definitely a big like, the Justice League.
George Reeves,
but there was nothing
Reeves.
Like it. Yeah. It felt very
no Henry Cavill.
I think most people
you got every other one.
Even if they don't like Man of Steel, Henry Cavill's portrayal of Superman in the Justice League and Batman versus Superman and yada yada, he's definitely the highlight of every single film. But it's like in this, I think if you had him in it, it would have definitely helped benefit the film.
I just don't understand why they're so against using him. Like it's their main character of the franchise, you know.
I don't know. I think, and this is what I really struggled with as well. It's like they miss such a golden opportunity of setting. So you know how they're like deleting the whole Zack Snyder Justice League stuff. Like that they're talking about that's not canon, and they're like rehiring like new. Like they could have set that up so easily in this film, and they just did nothing with it. And this is the flashpoint, which is changing the DC universe, right?
What do you mean by that?
So James Gunn has said that. So every DC film that came before this.
No, yeah, I know the context, but like, what I mean specifically about how don't you think this film set any of that up?
Okay, so you literally Flash. So Barry Allen goes to a different universe, right? And he gets a new Batman, he gets a new Superwoman, and he gets a new Flash, right? So you have three out of the 6 that you're needing. And so what they could have done is they could have done a thing of like, all these worlds are what we see, like the globes, the balls, they're going to be destroyed. So you see Barry Allen, the main Barry Allen's world. You see, he can see Ben Affleck, Henry Cavill, Wonder Woman, Cyborg, and Aquaman fighting to like save these people because their world's getting destroyed, And then it could have been a thing of like, you know, they go back in time, both the Barrys go back and they try and help as many of them as they can. And, you know, Superman, Wonder Woman, Ben Affleck, whoever's not coming into the new deal DC, you know, they don't make it into this travel point or yada yada, and maybe like Ezra Miller, one of the Flashes dies or doesn't make it back as well. And I just personally felt that when you watch it, nothing bad happens, and it doesn't set up a new DC, and it just gives you the same one with nothing changed at all.
What do you mean though? Nothing changed?
Well, because if you go into the post credit, Jason's back.
But Batman is George Clooney.
Yeah, but when the next one comes in, George Clooney won't be there. It'll be Ben Affleck again.
No.
Because
wait, what? No,
no, absolutely not, Because the post credit scene completely wiped out the ending of that scene.
How?
Because why do we have Jason Momoa as Aquaman in the George Clooney one?
Well, that's what they were making fun of. That was what they were making fun of in the post-credit scene.
You can make the same argument as when they go in the past. Why is Michael Keaton Batman, but why is Barry the same? Or why is Michael Shannon still?
Barry wasn't meant to be the Flash though, because Barry was supposed to go on a date, so he wasn't even.
But I mean like Zod as well though. Like Zod's the same actor, and you know like there's still consistency.
Yeah, but Zod in this
it's not like everything changes.
It does, because in this one Zod wins. And they lose in that world, and that world is destroyed. So there's.
I think there's too little knowledge to know how much has changed besides Batman is.
Because you only see that feature for a few seconds, right?
Also, I don't think they're even going to continue off this anyway. I think they're starting fresh.
I think
anyway.
I don't know. I think you'd be surprised. I think they'll come. I think DC's pretty open to having like Elseworld stories where they've got the Batman, they've got Joker, they've got their main DCEU. But I think as long as they label their other films, I think you can probably keep Ezra Miller's Flash universe.
I would keep it just for consistency's sake.
But then why? I don't know. You're not going to get Henry Cavill or Gal Gadot.
Well, you haven't seen them in the new universe though, right?
But we're not going to see them in the new universes.
Mate, you imagine if you got Henry Cavill, Gal Gadot, and George Clooney, Batman. That'd be wild.
Like I don't know.
How'd you know?
James Gunn is.
We're definitely getting Henry Cavill.
No, I'm talking down the line though. Like
nah, absolutely not.
Oh, I don't know. Like I think George Clooney could be back as Batman. I can't lie.
I don't know. For me personally, when I saw the post-scene credit, because.
But this didn't feel like a goodbye to the universe.
Wait. Let me just say my point. So when Barry puts the tomato can back up on the shelf, right, and his dad is freed from jail, and you know he wins in court, and then Barry sees George Clooney, it's like, oh shit, you know, I haven't learned anything from what I just learned from that 2.5 hour movie. And then you know like Batman and Superwoman and Flash died in his eyes, didn't learn his lesson, and then so he goes, oh yeah, in my head, and with the post-scene credit, he went back, put his dad back in jail, and then that's like his world's normal again. Because why on earth would you?
No, I don't think so, because that new...
Really? That makes me hate him even more.
The new Jason Momoa he was talking to was the one in the new world. Because he was telling him, he was like, oh, you look the same in my old world as well. It's just Batman that was different. Wasn't that funny?
No, he's referencing the dog.
Because that was in the other one. That's in like the one that the film took place in. But the one he's in at the end is not the one that the film took place in.
Oh, see, that makes me hate the movie even more. Because like, then what has Barry learned?
So this is my main issue with the end as well. Is it's a bit strange.
Oh, I hate the film.
But I honestly would be more than happy to have an Ezra Miller, Jason Momoa, mystery other two, and a George Clooney Batman. I'd be more than happy to see that.
I don't know. I just really want. I just want them to like do an accurate Flash.
Accurate. So what isn't accurate in your eyes in this film then?
His whole look and his characterisms. He's just this like dorky, like nerdy, like and there's nothing wrong with the character that he has, but it just gives me, it gives me the same vibes as him in the Fantastic Beasts franchise. Like I can't. Like he's just this really like lanky, like shy, like he talks too much because he's nervous.
So what would you say to like someone who says, so like for example, so this is like an adaptation of a comic, say.
Mm-hmm.
So there's creative liberty in changing the character.
Uh-huh.
Why don't you feel the same way for say MCU characters who don't line up with their Marvel counterparts in comics?
Because I don't really know a lot of Marvel characters. Like I know more about DC than I do Marvel, comic wise. So when it tends to come to Marvel stuff, I don't know a lot about it. So I'm quite happily like, oh, just do what you want.
I've personally always seen the DC franchise as their own spin on them anyway, because like Henry Cavill isn't the typical Superman, as like a lot of people. That's why a lot of people do not like Man of Steel, because it's a completely like different Superman film. Some people, I originally didn't like Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman because I thought she was way too skinny and modelly, but like obviously I love her now. But like that's a point some people have as well, where she doesn't look like a Amazonian warrior, So it's like I feel like it's a consistent thing throughout. Even Aquaman, like Aquaman's not meant to look like Jason Momoa. He's supposed to look like a freaking blonde.
I'll be honest, I don't like I'm not saying I want like spandex tights Aquaman, but I'm not a big fan of like tatted up drunk.
See,
Aquaman.
I don't think there's anything wrong with changing your character, and that's not what I'm saying. But like, if it's done well, like the Superwoman or Jason Momoa, or like I like.
Just for the record, we're not saying that your point isn't valid. That we're not like.
No, I know.
That you should just accept like it's an adaptation and that your point isn't valid. I do find it strange that you're okay with Superwoman, but you're not okay with Barry.
Because
I thought Barry was so much more well done.
Because right, so here, like I said earlier, Superwoman is a different universe. Like it's a different universe, and I had said I'd be more than happy to see a dark-haired, Ezra Miller playing Barry Allen, or anyone of ethnicity and race playing Barry Allen, as long as I was able to get somewhat of the Flash that like I want. Because
so what's wrong with Ezra Miller? Not his look, but specifically his character. What's wrong with him in relation to the comic?
I don't like him.
Barry?
I don't like him.
But
like
what's the difference?
He's not charming. He's not nice. Like he's still got that kind of like dry sense of humor where like the trauma, like always having to crack jokes, and I like that. But like,
so how does that differ from comic?
Because he creeps me out. Like there's this thing of like if I was to meet Ezra Miller's Flash, I wouldn't feel safe around him, and I'd be like, all right, like go away, like you're annoying me. But like with and not that it's a bad thing. Like it's not a bad thing. Like that's his character, and that's what he's portraying, and that's fine. But
okay,
like,
I guess my question is, what does comic book Barry offer you that this one doesn't? Specifically about comic book Barry rather than Ezra Miller Barry.
So comic book Barry has always been like, he's like, there's a whole comic series about it where like he's the hope of DC, like he's the only like true good guy, and he's like just pure of heart, and he's just like the total, like he'll do the best he can to do good, right? But with this Barry, he's just and there's totally time to develop him and yada yada yada, but like I just don't get that. Like he's just Batman's little, I'll follow you about and do what you say, but I'm just going to be a moan about it the whole time, and it's just like it's not enjoyable to watch him moaning. Okay. And when you have a Flash who's kind of like, he'll say a cheeky comment to Batman, and then Batman will be, absolutely roast him, and then he'll just shut up. But there's not him complaining. There's like, he's like Peter Parker. He's the character who loses, but he always has that like that good side to him, who's always trying to find the positive sides. But with this one, he's just a moan like the whole film,
I
and
think
it's
the
just
moaning worked for me probably because, well, I guess if that's not in the comics, fair enough. But I think it worked for me because I knew they were setting up that he's getting disillusioned with the Justice League and with Batman, and that was quite a good reason for him to just like fucking leave. Um,
Is it still accurate that he goes back to save his mum though?
what do you mean?
Like, is that accurate in the comics as
Yeah,
well?
yeah.
Does he do
yeah.
the same thing? So, like, surely in the comics, then it's not that much different if he's doing it for selfish reasons.
Well, I said, I haven't read all of his comics. I know most of his thing from the cartoon TV shows and like the TV show on CW. Is it CW? Is that the
Yep.
yeah? And like when you watch like Young Injustice or like the Justice League, he's just an like amazing character. He's just this like happy dude who's just dealing with tons of trauma, and he's not an issue to anyone. And Batman's like the mopey one, and
I thought you got. I don't know if this is. I thought you got more of that from Young Barry. You know when he was doing like the Speedy Gonzales shit and stuff like that, and he was
Yeah.
like, "Oh yeah, I used to do that too." Like,
and that's what I liked because like I had said earlier, it kind of gave me a little bit of like, oh, there's like the Flash or a little bit of the Kid Flash even, because like there was parts of it where when you see the Flash and the Kid Flash together, the Flash kind of becomes more serious, and the Kid Flash is acting like that, goofy Barry, and he's like running about, and the Flash is like, oh, we got stuff to do, mate. So I liked that part, and it reminded me of that. But the main Flash, I don't like. I just don't enjoy it, and I hate his suit.
okay.
No, that's fair, man. The thing is, like, you like what you like, and if he's not offering you what, but the thing is, like the Flash clearly means something to you. He's your favorite super, or at least one of your favorite heroes. Whereas for me and Ryan, it's like we know pretty much nothing about him besides like the basic stuff. So it's like obviously there's more of a thing towards you. It's the exact same for like if again I don't want to like reference Star Wars again, but like I am like if they like it's the whole thing with Luke. It's like that's not the Luke they were off. They're giving me, and I wanted a different version. It's fair enough. Some people might like it,
Yep.
but I don't. You know what I mean? So nah, it's a total valid point. Like I get it. I get it.
I made a point in my notes that I would have liked to have seen, Ezra Miller travel into time and he saves his mom, and then his mom and his dad look different, and it's like it's still them, but it's like it's not completely them, and then you see this young ginger, Barry Allen, and he's like, oh shoot. And even if that Barry Allen had the same effect, then for me I would have been like, all right, there's Barry Allen, and then I think I would have enjoyed the movie a lot more because I wouldn't have like been thingied by the CGI, and it could have been another actor just playing the same character, right? But with more of the comic book accurate. So I think for me that's what I would have rathered, whether they had like kept it with the story.
But does that not go into your? I know what your point is. That seems a bit like I don't know, because if your criticism is that you're not meeting anyone from the new universe, it seems weird to bring in another Flash that might not even be the new Flash for the new universe.
Well, that's the thing, because you're completely correct. But you could do a thing where like I had said, where you bring characters from the old universe or the new universe, and into whatever, and you do a thing where the Ezra Miller Flash, maybe he dies, and you're left with the new Flash, and he's the one who's having to. And
that fixes all your problems really nicely, Robert, doesn't it? Kill the Flash you don't like and sell them when you do.
No, exactly. No, but like or not that I love killing characters I don't like, but there's so many solutions to a universe that you could do, because it's like the whole Suicide Squad, it's the same characters, but it's not the same, it's not in the same universe, right? Just do that, mate.
Yeah, I think as well as like I don't like to bring in like film and politics and stuff, but like keep in mind this was filmed like donkeys ago, so this was like filmed before DC even knew there was going to be changes happening. So like, I get why they didn't. I know they could do it post, but like, again, I don't even know how much this ties into the future stuff they're going to do anyway. Like, yeah, they set up George Clooney, but like, honestly, I don't even think he's going to be the future Batman. I think it's just a silly joke. And then
No. I don't think he's going to be future Batman. I think he could be. There could be other stories in that universe, though.
Maybe, but then they've got like 3 universes going on. That's just confusing. Like, to a fan, you know what I mean? Like, that's just.
I don't know. They've already got 3 going. Like,
I guess, but like Joker, I guess I don't know. Like Joker and Batman feel more like contained trilogies or something like that, rather than an MCU.
no, that's what I mean. But I guess they could do that with this, though, right?
They could, but I don't know. Again, because they're setting up all this other stuff with like Blue Beetle comes out like soon, like in a couple months, and it's like, what does that tie into? Like, you know, is that the Flash, or is that going to continue the next Batman? Like,
well, the other thing is,
like, where is it?
I did notice in this one is that there are references to Zack Snyder, this being like a follow-up to Zack Snyder's Justice League as well, rather than Joss Whedon's.
Really?
Because, well, there's a few things. Mind when he first time travels and Batman's like, he's talking to Batman about it, and he's like, "Oh, I did it in wherever the fuck the ending to that film was for like a second."
Oh yeah.
He's like, "I did it for like a second. This was a whole day," and I was like, "That's a Zack Snyder thing, right?"
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
So it seems like this was a sequel to like the Snyder cut rather than.
Mate, I'm fine with that because the Joss Whedon's one was ass.
Far superior.
Ass.
Yeah, far superior than the Joss
Whedon
one.
one. Imagine being a director and pulling that out your ass. That was awful. Flipping it. Like if I
will say.
Sorry.
On you go, Robert. I did have.
I was just going to rant again.
I want to bring up the other world cameos just to get that off everyone's chest.
You know what it was? My point was I think it's really strange to me that they didn't bring back Grant Gustin from the CW show. That
I know.
Well.
Like, why not?
I couldn't believe the film ended without him.
Why not have him play the other Flash?
Like, to see the Flash another.
Yeah,
like,
that felt so strange.
It was weird because he's just finished the Flash now. Like that's it done, right? So like, why not?
Yeah, and they also met in his series, right?
Yeah.
So like, it felt really strange not to bring him back, but bring back like George Reeves from the 40s TV show. It felt really odd.
And like Adam West.
I mean, that was nice because like Adam West died a few years ago, right?
No,
that was like a tribute, but
and even Christopher Reeves, who died recently as well. You know, it's like it's nice to have them, and like.
You got Supergirl as well. Like I thought that stuff was cool. Like I know it's like stupid, pointless stuff, but I thought that stuff was like kind of nice to see.
You know, all I could think about was a dumb pun that whole because the fucking I thought the CG was the worst the film got.
Yeah. Because understandably,
well, I don't know.
Like,
no, but even but Nick Cage, mate, Nick Cage looked like a fucking like he was made out of glue or something. Like
I guess, but then it would. I think that would look more to place if that was a real actor, and then you have all the other ones that are CG.
I mean, you could have done a deep fake on George. I mean, he was standing still. You could have easily done a deep fake on like a stood figure. But all I could think about was it shows you these big balls, and he's like, oh, it's like they're separate chrono balls or whatever. And I was like, all I could think of is that they're big giant balls of cannon, as in like a cannonball. And I was like, that's all I could think about is just these cannonballs. And I'm like, what the fuck is this? Like. Just show us some I felt it was really off-putting to see other worlds but never actually go into them. Just for it to be like a weird portal window. I'm like, they're all just sitting there like they're on a fucking Christmas card. Like,
because like,
what are you doing? Like
I think Spider-Man Into the or is it Into the Spider-Verse? Is that the second? What's it called? Across the Spider-Verse. You know, I liked that it was kind of just like. It was Overwatch, or there was like you go into the different world, or even as much I hate the Doctor Strange 2, like even them falling for like just a small second into like that universe, like even that was nice. But this, it was like, I guess I get they were trying to do something different, but it wasn't a nice different. It was like okay.
Like imagine if like it was like Barry Allen Flash versus Reverse Flash, and they were like fighting through those universes. I think that would have been sick. Like even if it was just quick, like 10-30 second moments, you know. Like I think that
there's a thing
cool.
as well. There's like if you do that, then you could have Barry, the two Barrys fighting each other, and you go into one universe and it's Nicolas Cage Superman like fighting like fighting along with them, or you go into another universe and it's Adam West and his little Robin, like doing that cartoony like bang bang pops up onto the screen. Like they really missed a lot of golden opportunities in this film, and like
I think the cannonballs were easily the worst part of the film for me. I think that was the part in the film where I was just like, this is the only thing, like major thing, like thing that didn't majorly work for me. Because even there was bigger plot, there was like plot points that were more important that didn't work, but they were closer to working than not.
Mm-hmm.
But I felt like this was just a total dud. Like it just didn't land at all.
For me, the worst part of the film is every time he went into that going back in time, when he'd running backwards and then you had like the CGI babies and all like the really badly done like human. I really hated that. Like that.
I thought that was fun.
I really didn't enjoy it. I don't know. I just really didn't enjoy it. Like it always, as soon as he went back into time, I was like, oh.
Oh well, technically we're still in the positives. But so here's a positive amongst the shit tossing. I actually, the very first scene when he runs and he like, I liked the way they shoot. I don't know, it's hard to phrase. I liked everything about the way he runs apart from him. I liked the shot. I liked like the way the world kind of like bent around him running. I thought that looked amazing. And then like they showed you like the weird like camera angles of him like running across the country, and I thought it was cool. But he just looked like a little army man, just like sprinting across the country. It looked like a little toy. It looked really off-putting.
I really think if they just made him run normal while the world's fast, it would solve so much. And if he didn't do his little like,
I like the slow motion. I just don't like his funny wiggle.
I think the slow mo, it really takes me out.
Because how else are you gonna do it?
Because if you do it in a thing of like,
because he's just gonna be a streak. You'll never see it.
That's fine. I'd rather that. Because like the whole time while he's running.
I mean, they do that though, right?
Yeah, but then they zoom into slow mo. Like
I don't know. I think the running was pretty well done in this film. I thought the scene when he first goes back, and well, not when he goes back, but when he's outside his house, and he decides he's going to go back in time. I thought when he did like the heel turn, he saw like his younger self run out, and he went, "Yeah, I'm going to go back and save my mom." I thought the bit when he started running then was probably the best it looked in the film. I thought that was a really cool.
That's fair. I disagree, but fair enough.
I have a question. Is the Flash always been able to walk through walls and stuff? Has that always been a thing?
I believe so. Or definitely.
I was fine with it. I was fine with it because I understood like, oh, he's running so fast that atoms are like bloody, merging.
I think the way I don't know. I haven't read the comics, but I think probably what they're trying to get at is like if you increase the velocity of your particles, that the wave function of your atoms gets larger and larger, and you can basically like quantum leap through. You can like quantum jump through walls, basically. I don't know if it's that they're trying to get at. I mean, obviously it's just bollocks comic stuff. But
I appreciate that they didn't overdo it because I feel like they could have, So it's like I'm fine with it. But I was just like, I just didn't know that was a thing you could do. So I was like, oh. Because he didn't do it in other films either. It's the first time in the film. I swear that's the first time anyway.
He did say that it's taken him a long time to get a hold of this.
Yeah. They explained it well, so I'm fine with it. I just wasn't sure if that was a thing you could do before. So I was like, well, is this going to annoy people?
If we pull it back to the start, I actually have another comment about a negative, just quickly. But it's that first scene when he goes to run outside the coffee shop, and they do the title card, and then it stops, and that girl's like, "Oh my god, it's the Flash!" I was like, mate, just fucking run. Like, why are you doing false title cards? Like, you're just getting momentum. Like, just fucking run. I don't want to see some like girl just cream her pants at the sight of the Flash. Like, just go, mate. Just go. Like, it really bugged me.
It doesn't really age well either with the Ezra Miller stuff as well.
That's one thing as well that like I find hard about the film is the humor. I found it too dry.
I liked it for the most part. I think that was just one of the ones that stuck out where I was like, I actually don't like that.
Like, I really didn't like Barry fainting all the time, or like when he threw up. Like, I liked that he threw up, but see the CGI of him throwing up, that was so weird. And I liked the dad jokes, like here and there. I thought they were funny, but just as like, I don't know, I just found it quite like, I heard the old couple laugh behind me, and I was like, shut up, it's not funny, but.
To be honest, there was quite a few people like laughed in our cinema as well.
Yeah, no, I was the only one who wasn't laughing.
Mate, to be honest, I did like the bit when Batman had the lasso of truth on him. I was like, why the fuck did Batman say that? And I was like, oh, he's got the lasso on. And then like Flash touches it, and he's like, he's like, I know about sex, but I've never experienced it, or something like that. Yeah. Like that was funny.
Yeah,
like stuff like that was funny.
How old is the Flash meant to be, by the way? Because I'm really like confused by that.
I don't know, man.
Because
he's definitely like past school and stuff.
Well,
so.
He's got a job and he's passed his college and everything, yeah. So he must be like what, like mid-20s, right?
Probably our age, to be honest. Probably our age. I'd assume like 23 or something. Yeah.
But I'd maybe said a bit older, like 25, 26. But did you catch Jaime Lannister in the film?
I didn't know. Oh yes, I did. Yes, I did. Pizza guy. Yeah. Sorry, brain fart there. Yeah, I was like, I recognize him.
It was just like on screen for a second. I was like, no, and then he left, and I was like, I think that was.
I know. I was like, I have all the actors to pick. it was funny. He just said he's trying to join back. Do you think his thing will be he's confused at why his dad looked up?
Well, so my interpretation of the end originally was, it doesn't really make sense now, but was, the reason I shouldn't have changed the past is because I have lived every point up until now with that past. But if I change the future, I haven't lived in that future, so it doesn't really matter if I change it. But taking into account what Batman said earlier, and that when you change something in the future, you change the whole timeline, past, present, and future, it doesn't make any sense.
I know, that's the whole thing of like, that's why I really don't like the movie as a whole, of Barry just not learning from his lessons. Like,
well, it seems like he does, right? And then
he doesn't.
Well, yeah, I don't know. It's an odd choice.
Because he literally just watched Keaton, Superwoman, Barry, and the whole world be destroyed. And then he goes and does the exact same thing as what he just did with the
But also, is there a Flash in the universe he's now in? Because when he went back and saved his mum, he obviously jumped to like a different timeline. But there was already a Barry Allen there. He wasn't the Flash, but he was Barry Allen.
Yeah, but he wasn't going to be the Flash. No one was going to be the Flash.
But if there was, we never got to see it. But when he went back, he expected there to be no Barry Allen, but there was one. So I don't know why. Like, if he's went to this new universe that has George Clooney in it, is there a Flash already there?
There must be, because yeah, why wouldn't there be? Unless, I don't know, man. Don't know. Unless it's like it's changed the past to the point where him and the father and his mom never met.
Yeah. We're back. So, Brandon, you were talking about the Papa with his tomato soup can.
Yeah.
I honestly can't remember where I was going with that.
So
you were confused about it, I think.
Yeah, you had said that you were confused with the camera and the tomato soup and the dad in the court.
Oh yes. So pretty much like what he's been in jail for a long time, surely, because he was only a kid when his mom died. right? So he's been in jail. So why hadn't they checked the cameras before?
So in the original timeline, they had, but because his head was down, there's nothing they could tell from it.
Yeah.
And remember, the camera was completely fuzzy, like they showed you before and after.
Yeah, but like even in like the new timeline, surely they would have checked the cameras like first thing.
In the new timeline, it should have been obvious from the get-go. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, why did it take like 10 years to?
Because it would have just been the exact same thing. Because they showed you in the new timeline that it was the before and the after.
But we've already established that, like, he's changed the past, so therefore, like surely as soon as he got charged for murder, they would have checked the cameras first thing to see if his claim was true, and it would have been fixed. You know, like what was different besides the treatment of the.
So in that scene in the court case, the guy goes, so originally this is the original. This is what the camera looked like, and when you watch it, you can't really see anything. Like it's completely fuzzy, and you can't make out who's who and what's what. And then he goes, thankfully, because of the Wayne Enterprise, we're now able to see clearly this video, and this video shows that he's innocent. And as you watch the video, he puts his head up and he reaches for the tomato soup.
The other point, I guess, against that is, if you have CCTV in your store that can't tell anyone's face, what's the fucking point in having it?
Yeah.
I guess.
But
I'm okay to like lean over that part, but okay, well, fair enough then.
I don't want to defend it, but I have to. So
yeah,
right.
No, it's fair. Fair.
Do we have any more general positives about the film? Anything you really liked? Any favorite scenes before we go into? I mean, we've obviously done mostly criticism anyway, but like.
Okay,
I feel like they're a good mix. I think.
I really liked seeing Sod again, but I thought he was the most pointless thing, and we didn't need him back. But I really liked him.
Backhand compliment.
Yeah.
But absolutely right.
I love the actor. I think the actor's
Michael
amazing.
Shannon.
Michael Shannon is Sod is actually
he's great.
It is, and
people.
The infant did not survive.
He was like when he was in it, I was like, oh man. When the CGI was good, I was like, oh man, this is great. But because of the end, it was so pointless to have him there. But I did appreciate him.
At least getting him back.
Yeah, for it.
The other thing is he's obviously, I think he's been quite outspoken that his part in this film was very minor, and he didn't find it that satisfying to do. Even as an actor,
I had
which
seen
is a bit.
that,
I think he was saying that before the film even premiered. So like, guy just does not give a shit, I guess. But like, if he's out of the universe, I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter. Eh?
Well, I saw something where his agent had called him, and he's like, "Oh, you're playing Zod again," and he's like, "But he's dead." And then he's like, "He's a multiverse," and he's like, "Oh, don't explain it to me." he's like, "I'll just get paid."
We did talk in the break a little bit as well about Jamie Lannister being in the film as well. It's Pizza Guy.
Yeah.
And
I don't know if Brandon knows who that is.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, we talked about it last night.
Right. All the Game of Thrones fans being like, "What?
I haven't seen it, mate."
One viewer, my mother, being like, "I hate you, Brandon."
No, sorry.
Hi again, Mum.
Trying to think of other points.
What about, okay, so I was going to ask before we had some issues, what did you think of old Barry's arc in general?
Absolutely stupid.
I must say, it is a bit, like, pointless, because he goes through that whole journey and then still makes a change.
I thought,
to canon.
Up until that
like,
change, it was quite strong.
Yeah, I'd like to. Yeah, like he got to say bye to his mum and stuff. Like that was all great. Even though the mum is a bit like no one's acting like that to a stranger. Like, like I get she's a good person, but like the guy's clearly insane. Like you can go hug at him. You know what I mean? It was still nice, but yeah, but I like the arc in general, just not the whole. Oh, I'm still gonna make a change though. It's like, well, freaking. Like, surely you get, like, moving the can wasn't the problem, it was just making a slight difference. Because he thought it was like, oh, it's because his mother's alive, it changes everything. But no, it's like, even the slightest change, like, can impact, especially, like, changing a whole...
This is what we were talking about in the break,
like that, you know?
was... If basically you have Back to the Future rules, then this arc makes sense. Because this is kind of how Back to the Future ends as well, right? Where Doc and Marty kind of accept that they've been through time travel and that they're willing to still time travel as long as they never interfere with anything in the past.
Yeah.
That's what Barry comes to here, which is, well, this is kind of the thing he comes to, is right, is like, he's like, well, the problem is that I changed something big in saving my mom in the past, because I'd already lived through the timeline where she died. It was wrong to go back and live in another one.
Mm-hmm.
But if I change something in the future, I haven't lived that future yet, so it should theoretically be okay for me to live in it, because it's not like I have any prior knowledge of what's going on in that future.
Yeah.
That's kind of the point I got from it. The problem with that is, you've got the explanation from Batman earlier in the film, Keaton Batman, that you basically have junctions of time. That when you're changing something, you're just, like, hopping from one universe to another through that junction of what you've changed. And that what happens is that your past, present, and future are all entirely different. The only thing that's allowed you to make the jump is by making the change. And the problem with that is then obviously his, like, conclusion that, oh, it's okay for me to live in this universe because I haven't experienced anything that I shouldn't have, is completely wrong, because he's got a whole new past now, which doesn't really make any sense. But
it also goes against, because I love this message. I think it was Michael Keaton as well that says this. He's like, because they ask him, like, oh, I could go and save your parents from dying, but then he's like, no, like, my scars are what make me, kind of thing. And for Barry, it's like, it's not just his mum, it's his dad as well that's put him in this position. So it's like, I don't like the idea of him still getting a win, you know what I mean, out of that, like, still fixing half of it, because it's like, you're supposed to own your, you know, scars rather than fix them, and he essentially fixed a part of it.
We were also saying that surely there's a Barry Allen in this new universe as well. There was already a Barry Allen there that he's, like, either replacing, or Barry Allen never existed or something. I don't know. But then, like, where does everyone question where he came from in this new universe?
I guess the point is like, nothing's really changed up until that court scene. But then, well, no, I take that back, because obviously there's a different Batman. So yeah, it's
an entirely different past. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a bit strange. The other thing is, I don't know if it's just a statement on he's willing to live in a new future as long as he gets to spend his time with his dad. It doesn't really matter.
That goes against the whole point.
The problem is that's not his dad, I guess, right? Because his dad's still in his old universe, in prison.
Yeah.
It's a bit strange, eh?
Yeah.
And like, George Clooney Batman knows Ezra Flash. Like, he knows him. He calls him.
Which means there must already be an Ezra Miller Flash in that universe, right?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't think there is. I think that's just a movie mistake, honestly. I don't think they thought about that. There's no way, because, like, he was at the court meeting and everything. Surely the other Ezra would have been there.
I wonder if well, originally it was supposed to be Michael Keaton.
Oh.
Originally he was supposed to meet Michael Keaton. I think they filmed that, and then George Clooney obviously filmed a version as well. But although that, I've heard that could also just be a decoy to throw off people from the set from George Clooney coming back.
Yeah.
The other thing is, I wonder if maybe in, like, rewrites or something, that the time travel worked differently, and it was like Back to the Future rules, and then that was the ending, and then they changed the rules and didn't change the ending or something. I don't know, or they just didn't give a fuck. I don't know. It's a bit strange.
The thing is, I'm totally on board with all the rules up until the end, and then, you know, that's my thing, because I like, you know, Michael Keaton's describing, I totally get that.
It was actually
if
quite
anything,
an interesting way of doing time travel as well.
Well, yeah, because it makes sense. Like, it's not like, if you change this part, you're changing that
no.
whole timeline.
Well, I don't know, because, like, it depends, right? Because, like, Back to the Future makes sense as well. They're two separate forms of time travel. They can't coexist, but, like,
yeah, this
is like a more unique form of time travel where it's kind of just like universe hopping.
Yeah,
it's kind of more similar to Everything Everywhere All at Once. I got the impression that kind of, like, universe hopping is that you have to, like, close the gap between the two adjacent universes in order to be able to jump between them, and that's kind of what time travel is in this version.
Yeah, it's not too indifferent from how Endgame did it, because Endgame established the rules like, oh, you need to return the stones where they were at that time to then not screw everything up in
It
their
is hard
timeline.
though, because this is like fundamentally a different version of time travel, though.
No, I get it. Yeah, I get it.
But
yeah,
I really liked that scene when they were explaining it as well. I thought it was really cool. But yeah, the ending is, that's what I mean. I think to like up until about 95% of this through this film, basically up until the cannonballs come up, cannon-balls, I kind of liked this movie quite a lot. And then that scene came, and then Barry sacrifices himself. Young Barry sacrifices himself to older self of him. And then you see weird, shiny Nicolas Cage, and then George Clooney's in it, and the end doesn't make much sense. And then I wait 6 minutes for the post-credit scene, and it's just Jason Momoa falling face down in a puddle, and I'm like, sweet. Let's go home.
So is there any other major points we want to talk about?
I only have things that I would want to change about Batman. Not saying that it's...
Why don't...
Not
have
saying
you got
that,
anything else that's like a criticism or a positive point before we go into like alternate ideas?
Not positive. Absolutely not positive.
Because we could do that and then we'll just go straight into alternate ideas or something.
Well, my note says what I didn't like, and then the first one is the way Ezra ran actually gave me depression.
I do have a note. I do have a note why he's still running like that. To be honest, I did like the scene though where he was like he tried to run in a big circle in the
I did
in the thing and he just looks like a twat.
Funny.
Like I think I do have a criticism generally of the film is the time travel, the speed he runs at really confused me.
Yeah, me too.
Because sometimes it seemed like he's late for work, but I'm like, surely if he can run like faster than the speed of light. So like light goes around the Earth at like 7 times a second. So if he can run anywhere close to that, he can get from his bed to his work instantaneously, no matter how long he waits.
Wasn't the point though that he was low on calories though, and he had to fuel up?
I mean, I guess, but then he could just run anywhere he wants and get food within milliseconds.
But as well, his boss was having a go at him because he's late every single day.
Yeah.
So it's like...
No, yeah, it's a plot hole. It's a plot hole.
And like, there is...
Yeah, and...
yeah.
Oh, sorry.
I was going to say, there is scenes as well where he like phases into like Kryptonians. And like... Because he makes a point that, oh, these are Kryptonians, we can't kill them. But then he like phases through and like kind of like goes into them. And I'm like, well, surely that's not them dead then, no? Like...
You'd think if somebody went inside you.
To be honest.
Well.
Oh, we don't know what that's like, Robert. But the other thing that confused me is I don't know if this is a Man of Steel thing, but how many Kryptonians come on Zod's invasion? Because I thought it was just like Zod and like 3 or 4 other motherfuckers.
Honestly, I thought that too. I thought that I don't remember there being a lot.
I don't remember there being like an army of Kryptonians. I thought it was literally just like 5 or 6 that were on a prison transport.
I felt the same, but I tried to give it the benefit of the doubt of like, okay, this is a different universe, so like the outcomes were different.
Yeah.
I felt like that in battle in general was kind of shit as well. I feel like I would have liked a more focused battle on Zod than just like generic grunts.
I really struggled with that battle as well because the whole time Barry was teaching Barry how to fight. And it wasn't enjoyable. It was like, oh, come on.
I did like the Emperor bit though. That was kind of fun. You have to close the circle when he was like trying to. I liked that he was like they used their suits to their advantage. So, like original Barry has the insulated suit, so he can only really fight with the way he knows. He never thought to use the friction and the charge he builds up as a weapon. But then young Barry instantly goes to like trying to do the Emperor hands from Star Wars to like electrocute folk.
Right.
I did like that. And then he takes his gloves off and they both do. I like that.
I like that as well. It was just for me. It was the whole like young Barry just getting thrown everywhere, falling down, and then the other Barry like do this, and I was like I get it, but I would have felt like shouldn't they have not maybe done that when they were
earlier
picking
on,
up
yeah.
Superwoman?
I agree.
You know,
I was fine with the battle up until I realised that was the final battle. Because I thought we were going to have like a reverse Flash fight that was going to be the main fight or whatever. And this was just a sort of like the little battlefield before the actual fight. So I was fine with it because I thought Zod wasn't going to be the main villain. I thought it was going to be Reverse Flash, which he kind of is, but at the same time, it's like he's got like 3 minutes of screen time. So it's like, is he the main villain? You know, so I am on with you guys. But at the time of watching, I was fine with it until it ended, and I was like, oh, I didn't realize.
To be honest, I might actually be growing on Robert's idea of a two-parter film where you just end this film with the revelation that Young Flash is Dark Flash, and then it's kind of like Empire, where they're just kind of like, oh shit, you've just like found the new enemy sort of thing. Like,
I still feel like you need the Zod more interaction though.
No, yeah, I guess so, but I feel like I'd be more okay.
Because the reason Empire works for me is that you have that boss fight, and then you move on.
I guess.
Whereas this, it would have been just like,
I guess I meant
cliffhanger.
Empire more in just the sense of it's a sort of like a cliffhanger with like a dark ending.
Maybe I would have been fine with that.
But then again, we've waited long enough for this Flash film. They're never going to give us two, are they?
Exactly.
But yeah. Any other points? Oh yeah, the son and the father. Like the son that, like Barry rescues, and he can't save the dad. And then in the new universe, they show him, like they show the both of them there, and like,
but nothing happens.
And then nothing happens to them. Like Barry never meets them, he never interacts with them, he never wonders if they're there. They never come up at all. And I'm like, why even bother then?
I do find it interesting now that in canon, Barry, Clark, and Bruce were all in the same city during that scene.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't think it was as good as the Batman one, but I don't know if that's just because they'd already done it before.
Definitely not. The Batman one was sick. I love that's one of my favorite like Bruce Wayne scene of him running into the dust. That's really cool.
I think the reason this one didn't work is because it was basically the same thing, right?
Well, yeah. I don't think it was necessary, to be honest.
I did like that we got to see his his homecoming very first, Flash outfit. Like, I did like that, but I think they could have definitely done something different.
The only reason they did that was because Zod's in this film, though, as well. If Zod wasn't in this film, there'd be no reason to.
They tried to make it like more personal, like, oh, Flash is tied to Zod. It's like, nah, I don't need it. I think it's already like bare minimum.
I think that's part of the problem, right? Is like everything in this film is very personal to Barry, to the point where he's literally meeting himself. But
except Zod.
But then Zod, the villain, has nothing to do with Barry whatsoever.
Yeah.
Because even Batman, the reason he goes and seeks out Batman is because he's actually got the only person he's got a good relationship with in his universe is Batman. So even the Michael
Keaton... it's because and to his knowledge, Batman's the only one that exists in the Justice League.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. He at least has a personal tie to a Batman to lead him to Michael Keaton, but there's no reason for him to be related in any way to Zod, which is just really
just get great. Supergirl in a movie, mate. That's
what I mean. I literally think, but I literally think they were like, oh, we want like a mini Justice League in our film, or we want to include like some Kryptonian character or like Kryptonian level characters, or we want to bring back Zod. So it's like kind of like a bookend. So you get like Man of Steel and then this, and like Zod bookends the series. But the problem with that is one, obviously Barry doesn't have any tie to him. And secondly, it means you have to introduce and spend a lot of time getting Supergirl in this film just for it to mean fuck all anyway.
Yeah.
Which will, spoilers, come into our Transformers chat as well in the next episode, or whichever one goes up first. Could be the last episode.
I don't even know what you're referencing.
Oh mate, that's the one big thing in that film that annoys me. But apart from that, Transformers Rise of the Beasts, go see it. The Flash, go see it. Unless you're Robert.
Don't go see it. Nah, like I honestly think it was just one of those things of like, if you have like was it like Odeon? What's the Odeon thing? Limitless. or you get like a crazy discount where the movie only costs you 50p. Go see it. Otherwise, just wait till it comes out.
Well, I don't know. I think. Well, I don't know, because I guess if it's on a big screen and maybe the CG doesn't look good on like the big massive iSense screens or IMAX or whatever, fair enough. The screen I went on, I honestly, I don't know if I'm just past the point of caring about CG stuff and I'd rather focus on character stuff, but I was pretty engrossed in the film in general up until the very last point, and I think even though it doesn't stick the landing, I'd say it's worth going to watch in the cinema as well.
Fair enough. I disagree, but fair enough.
I don't know. Would you agree, Brandon? Or would you say wait for streaming? It doesn't really matter to go see it in the cinema.
No, I definitely think it's a movie for the cinema. It's just whether people are gonna enjoy it or not is a different story. Because like again, like I went in with it. Honestly, I think most people are gonna come out enjoying it, but I do think diehard fans like Robert of The Flash aren't gonna like it, based on what Robert said. If it doesn't represent The Flash, people are used to, then fair enough. But overall, it's a fun film at the end of the day. To me, it's just like it's kind of like Black Adam and Shazam, where it's just a fun film. I'm not looking too deep into it.
I think, yeah, I agree in the sense of that's the tone or the vibe I get from it, but I think this is probably the strongest of the three.
Over Shazam.
Shazam was a okay film with good comedy and like a good vibe, but I think this arc, apart from the very last bit, is much stronger.
I would agree that the arc's stronger, but then the end just counteracts everything about the film. Then it's just like, what's the point?
I guess. I mean, if you care, I don't know. It's annoying, yeah, but like, I feel like most of the film is a good enough time where you can justify going to see it.
But I would agree, but then it hits the last point and it just wipes everything out. Because like with Shazam and Shazam 2, it's just it's not deep or like amazing by any means, but it's solid start to end and it's like consistent. While like Black Adam, it starts medium and then only goes downhill. But with the Flash, it's like up and down. So it's like, I don't know, personally I would say Shazam 1 and 2 is the highlights of DC at the moment. But that's just me. I prefer consistency.
So any final points before we go into like maybe what you would have done, things you'd have liked to have seen, or ideas you had on where you thought they were going? I already touched on my one, which was kind of Red Sun Superman, which would have actually been way better. But
I agree.
Yeah.
I feel like they wanted Supergirl though. You know what I mean? Like,
but like, if you wanted her that bad, make her do something then. Like,
well, yeah, no, I agree with that.
So bad.
Because I feel like if you got Superman, people would have moaned if it wasn't Henry Cavill. And obviously, the simple solution is just get Henry Cavill, but they clearly just wasn't. They weren't for that for some reason.
I don't know what they hate with him.
I really don't understand. He's so good. He's so good.
What's wrong with it? There must be something real bad going on though. Like, surely for them to not even like address it at all. Like, they got almost everyone back. Like,
it is weird.
It's really strange.
Yeah, because the Cyborg. Sorry, yeah, Cyborg. He doesn't want to come back, right? Like, he's finished with that.
Yeah, they had issues like behind the scenes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
but
I get that.
And I get the whole Henry Cavill and Witcher. But other than that, why James Gunn? Why we know where's Henry?
Yeah, I mean, well, okay. Do you want to go into some of the things you'd maybe thought where they were going, or what you would have liked to have seen, or notes you had on alternate things, ideas you had?
Okay, so I had a note. Now, I'm not saying that this is amazing, but this is what I would have rather seen when Batman came in. So I really liked how they introduced Keaton. I did really enjoy that, but I felt like Keaton was missing a storyline, like what we were saying. And I was thinking, I would find it more interesting if Nightwing was there. and it was a thing of like you see old man Bruce, and he's this kind of like he's just chilling, Gotham's safe, and then you see Nightwing who's taken Batman's, like he's now become Batman, and so he's looking over Batman and looking over Gotham and everything. And it's a thing of like the Flashes come to Gotham, they look for Batman, and then they see Keaton there. And then Nightwing comes in, and it's a thing of like you have Batman or like Nightwing, Keaton, and then the Flashes and Supergirl, right? Superwoman. And then it's a thing of when Keaton dies, or like the development up to Keaton's death, you have this father and like a good father and son relationship with Keaton and Nightwing, and replace that with Batman and Barry. And then so when Keaton dies that first time, it's almost like a Wanda Vision's death, where Batman has to watch Keaton die, and he couldn't save him, and it's like heart wrenching, and then they go back in time to save him again, and then Nightwing has to watch Keaton die in another way, and then it's like reversed again and again and again, and so it's this thing of like you're watching a son try and like save his father over and over and over again, but he can't. And like the Flash, because as much as I liked Barry and Keaton's relationship, I wasn't like.
I think I guess the problem with that is that Nightwing would never know that Batman had died before because he can't go back in time.
Oh, 100%. And I totally understand that, but I think like it just didn't seem like Barry was that bothered. Like it happened, he was upset, and then they tried to save him again, and then he just didn't care.
Yeah, well that's the thing, because I felt like they kind of were going for a little bit of a like mentor apprentice type thing, right, with like old Batman and Flash, but I don't think they pushed it hard enough to the point where it was like, oh, this was like a semi-father figure for Flash at that point.
Exactly. And then as well, you have that thing of like if Keaton dies and Nightwing is like chilling there, over his body, and then you go back and he has to fight again. No matter the outcome, he loses his father. It's just in a different way every single time, right? So whenever it finishes, Batman still lost his dad.
Yeah, I think.
And then.
All right, on you go. Sorry, I thought you were
done. No, sorry. I've got another point, but I'll go into it after what you said.
It's just finish what you were saying. It's probably better to stay on topic.
And then I was going to say as well, what I thought they could have done better with that whole situation is bringing Superwoman into the speed of light situation, because she flies just as fast as them.
I don't know, because they established that they're faster than the Kryptonians, right?
Well,
because I think as well, it's not just how fast he runs; it's also because he has the Speed Force as well. I think.
Right? Yeah, I suppose. Yeah. No, that's true.
But sorry.
But yeah, no, sorry. That's my main point. Like, that's the biggest thing that I would change, just because I find that their dynamic was pretty, like, it was all right, but I would have preferred if you got, that, and as well, it would have solved that situation of they're missing a story with Keaton, so give him Nightwing and give him a reason to not be with Gotham, and that Nightwing is saving Gotham. But it's just that, and I'm not saying it's better or that, and if you don't agree, that's totally fine. But that is just what I think I would have preferred in the story.
And so, what's your second?
No, it was just that Superwoman. Like, I just didn't understand how could they not have like brought her in with them.
Apparently, the original idea was that when they went to the new universe, that she was still Supergirl in that universe as well.
Ah, right.
but I think they reshot the ending. But I think actually that clocked on another issue I had with the ending was I thought that older Barry clocked that this was like an inevitable event in time very, very quickly. Like,
yes,
because one, I can't lie, I'm getting a bit sick of these like absolute point in time stories now. Because they've been in What If in the Doctor Strange episode. They've now been in Spider-Man and The Flash within 1 month.
Yeah.
Which is fine, and obviously you can't fault them for independently doing that.
Well, they were in Loki as well, right?
I guess, yeah. But it's one of those things where it's fine, but it's almost becoming a bit too meta, where it's like, oh, we're in a cartoon world where everyone has the same story, and if you deviate from the story, you die.
Yeah.
And you can't exist anymore, and it's a bit like, fair enough, I get why they're doing it, but it's getting a bit to the point where I think Multiverse should probably be either reinvented in a really interesting way, or just kind of left behind and kind of picked up on little things. Because I think the problem is now, and I think the problem with Marvel as well is they're obviously ramping up their multiverse stuff, and I just feel like it's going to be more of the same, and I'm already kind of sick of it. So the absolute point in time stuff I wasn't a huge fan of. I think you could perfectly justify Barry going to his original universe without the absolute point in time stuff. But I think that it was weird that Batman died and then Supergirl died, and they went, shit, we need to go back and save them. They went back in time, and then they died once more, and they went, oh, we can never save them. And I'm like, you only tried twice. Like,
I know, yeah.
You could have tried, like, all you needed was a little scene where you see them do it like 100 times.
No, they did though.
Well, no, but old Barry. Because old Barry literally clocked it on the second try. And I'm like, you've tried 2 things and it didn't work out for you. That doesn't mean it's an absolute point in time. And then young Barry keeps going back. And old Barry's already realised that it's an absolute point in time. I'm like, I'd rather had like a few iterations. Like a few more iterations with old Barry. And he's like, there's actually no way to do this. And then young Barry still doesn't clock it. I feel like it just made no sense to have it.
I feel like it drags on if you do that though.
Well, I don't think, because you could just do a montage, like a quick, like what they did with young Barry anyway. Just do that, but with both of them, and then have your moment where old Barry goes, "Oh shit, this is an absolute point in time," and then you have young Barry keep doing it in another one.
I agree with you on that. I do think it was too fast.
It was just way too quick, I thought.
100%. That was the thing. It was like some things just completely dragged, and other things were like way too fast.
The thing is, you could be right about the thing. It maybe hurt the pacing if you have 2 of these scenes back to back, and it breaks like the flow of the final battle. One, I don't think the flow of the final battle was that great towards the end anyway. I thought the Barry stuff was great. The bit when they like their heels come together, I thought that was great. But like,
it made me cringe a little when they just both were perfectly in sync. And they're like both the clumsiest characters.
You're just a big ball of fun with this film, aren't you, Robert?
I just really didn't like it. Yeah. No, but like it did make me chuckle. I was like, I love that. Like the whole movie, they're just the most like clumsy guys, and then they're just perfectly in sync when they're hitting their heels.
But yeah, I think you could be right about the pacing. But I think the problem is if I guess you're picking between 2 things, right? You're either hurting the pacing or you're making a jarring decision for some of the audience.
Yeah.
Which is what I felt. But
well, like, I don't know, because they established the what you call a canon event. They established a canon event when Keaton tells him like, "Oh, your mum has to die. My parents have to die. That's a current event." And you only did that once, so like I guess it's just the same.
I guess
thing,
so,
you know?
But then if this entire world has to die anyway, then why is it necessary for Keaton and Supergirl to die? Because the whole world's getting destroyed anyway. It doesn't seem like it would make much of a difference.
Well, yeah. Well, that's the overall thing. It's like the whole end kind of makes the movie pointless. So it's like, yeah. At the end of the day, it's like
because they couldn't save the world, right?
I do have 2 other points here. I don't know if you want to close out with, if you've not got anything else, or if you would like to, if there's anything else you want to bring up.
No, it was really just the whole Batman story and maybe bringing up, like, I would have liked to have seen, like the Shazam crew and the Justice League and the Black Adam crew, and even maybe like the in Suicide Squad, if it was like that whole multiverse like world stake ending.
The
Because
thing is though, it's like we're complaining about people not getting their time. For example, like Supergirl. So like, how are you going to get in like all those other characters to have like a good spot?
It was more of like not like an actual, like, 40 minutes of these characters, just like that multiverse, kind of thing. Like they're running through multiverses and you see these different like heroes. I don't know, something like that. I just felt like for such a world filled with heroes, there was no heroes.
I did think, well, I mean, I think I probably would have rather they went the opposite way and just focused on Barry. Because I even thought, I thought I could have done without any of the multiverse stuff, to be honest, at the end, and just have it just him, because he goes straight back to that universe. I don't think you need to have.
Yeah, but I think what they've done is they've gone in the middle, and it's not satisfying.
Yeah, I think the other thing is this is a Flash film, right? It's not like a Justice League film, so it'd be a bit straight. Like it's a bit like Civil War, like Captain America: Civil War. It's a bit like, it's not really a Captain America film, is it?
Yeah.
Like,
but
towards
like
the end.
you,
so it'd be a bit strange to have like everyone from DC appear in just a Flash film, when I'd rather just have it be about the Flash.
But if and I agree, but if you're going into a multiverse stakes, and the cannonballs, you're showing pretty much only Superman instead of the Flash. Like they only showed one Flash.
It was funny that it was mostly Superman, yeah.
Yeah, like why not just show everybody? Do you know what I mean? I just find it very, like, I get there's Superwoman and I get it's the crypto guys, but
the thing is though, like if you do that, you have to pay everyone. So it's like but the people they did add were mostly dead, so you don't need to pay those people. They're dead. So, well, not as much as a like Christian Bale Batman, like
I think
or like
it
Margot
would have
Robbie.
made. I honestly, if the film ended with like Ezra Miller Flash, George Clooney Batman, and Nicolas Cage Superman, I'd have been on board for that universe. Like,
I would not have. I would not have.
That'd have been amazing.
No, I would not.
Nicolas Cage's Superman is the worst casting ever, but I want to see it more than anything.
I don't know how. I don't like. I love Nicolas Cage, and I think he's great when he's great, but not as Superman. Like,
no,
like,
do you know that reference though?
Yeah. No,
right,
I know the reference.
I mean, it was a big
like,
cut. I think it was a cool cameo.
No, it was cool. It was cool. I don't want a movie out of it though.
Well, no.
I do.
like I know there's a whole, like, don't judge an actor because you don't know what they'll bring to the table. Like,
but you know exactly what Nicolas Cage is bringing.
But yeah, I know what he's bringing, and I don't want it. I like him in what he's in, and I don't want him in. I don't want him to play Superman.
I have two probably smaller points just to discuss. One, Iris really didn't work for me in this film.
Yeah, me too. I did struggle with her a little bit. I don't know what it was.
She seems really unlikable.
I liked her. I remember liking her in. Was it Justice League? Was she in Justice League?
She was in the Zack Snyder one.
The Zack Snyder one. I remember liking her in that. But this one, she just felt fake.
Yeah, because she's like talking about his dad, and then she's like, "Oh, oh, how you doing?" And he's like, "Is this on or off the record?" And she's like, "It's off the record." And then she asks him like an on the record question. I'm like, how much of a bitch is this woman? Like, what? That's just the most unlikable thing. And the thing was, if they were gonna like have that be part of the reason that he got pushed away from the universe, like, fair enough, because he's like even isolated by like his high school crush or whatever. But then they put a thing forward as if like, oh, maybe they'll date, and I'm like, but she's a horrible woman. Like, I don't want to see it.
Yeah, I wasn't like. Yeah, like the way she treated them and the way Superwoman treated them were like day and night. Like, she wasn't like evil or anything to him, but it was like it just felt that she was only speaking to him to get information for the court, and I believe that's what they were doing, right?
Yeah.
And then when she's like, "Oh, do you want to go on a date?" and then Barry's like, "Dinner, me, date, me," or whatever he said, and it was like, what? I don't understand. I thought you would have been like, "No, I'm good."
Nah, if your high school crush asks you on a date, like no matter what you're saying, even if it was a tiny little question.
Oh, I don't know.
I don't know. I don't.
His dad's getting released from prison the next day, maybe, and she's like probing questions for the newspaper. Like it's a step too far, really, right?
I think
I think we're looking too much into it.
I don't know. If it takes me out of the film and I'm like, I don't like this character, I don't think it's too far.
Do you know, I don't like babies, and that film confirmed that I don't like babies.
That's like in a microwave. I thought you loved that.
That's like watching Tin Toy and being like, "Oh, babies are so ugly." Like, mate, that makes sense. This guy. Not all babies look like CGI Flash babies.
Oh mate, they just look like old men shrink. It's like the Witcher kids. It's like when you play Witcher, it's just like the old characters just shrunk into like children.
I think my last point was, what was the point in him losing a tooth?
I don't know. I think it was just comedy effect.
Because I was like, all right, fair enough. And then it went into the other Flash's mouth, and I thought, oh, maybe that's going to be like a power thing or whatever, or I don't know. And then at the end of the film, his tooth just pops out, and I'm like, eh? Like, I thought that was going to be something. Like, I thought it was going to illustrate, like, oh, because he like lost his tooth because he lost his powers. And then
I think it's just a dumb joke, honestly.
That's what I mean. It's just a weird. I don't know if it's just a joke that didn't land, but like it just made no sense.
I think it's just a really unfunny joke. Like that's why I really struggled with the humor in this film. See, one other thing.
Did anything in this film work for you, Robert? In an entire, not in a backhanded compliment way, but like an actual like this was quite good in the film. That's a reassuring silence.
Do you know what? There is one thing, and it's the only consistent thing in any Batman film. Alfred.
Damn.
That's the only
I thought you meant the dead one. I forgot Jim Irons was in it there. I was like, there's no Alfred.
That's the only.
That was a nice
I liked
surprise.
Wonder Woman. Yeah, I liked Wonder Woman, and do you know what? As much as I hated the CGI and Ben Affleck, I think he did really good in this.
Yeah. Batman. And he's even said that himself, right? He kind of felt like this was his best shot at being Batman, and I think I'd probably agree.
I definitely agree with that one.
Maybe not his best look, but like actually him as Batman. Yeah.
I honestly think my favorite look is the Zack Snyder one with him in his goggles.
Oh, the nightmare one.
Yeah, I really like that outfit, but I know it doesn't make sense for this storyline at all because that's like way in the future, right? But no, I did like I did like Ben Affleck. I liked the part before the. No, I liked the part after the baby scene, and then I liked it before the multiverse bit.
So I think that's all my notes covered. I don't know if you guys want to round off with anything in particular.
Bro, I'm ready. That's been like 3 hours. I'm good.
If the audience has listened through this, thank you. Why? And you're welcome.
I apologize for my ranting.
Yeah. Well, I think. Well, you know. I mean, at least it's interesting, like, at least it's not just, like, 3 of us going, oh my god, I loved it, and it was great, and this is the problem I had, and then Brennan's like, oh yeah, I agree, and you're like, yep, I agree. True. At least it's, like, a bit of conversation, right, where it's a bit different. I'd rather that than it was just, like, everyone agreeing. So, I wouldn't, don't get too comfortable with the hot takes, Robert, but keep them coming.
Okay, I will. I don't think this was a hot take. But I do think there'll be a day when we'll all watch a film and we won't complain. There'll be nothing to complain about.
I mean, Guardians was that, so it's already happened.
Yeah.
So
we missed it by 3 weeks.
Well, like, for the most part, we were all on the same page.
No. I'm talking about perfect. Like not a complaint on anything.
That's not gonna happen.
Not with you in the group, mate. Me and Brendan will be fine. Shocking.
I'm like, you know how Brandon's fussy with his food? I'm fussy with my movies and my shows.
Starting to regret doing a film podcast with you, I can't lie. It's gonna be harder than I thought. Just the sheer willpower to listen to it for 3 hours.
So this will be my last episode.
Yep.
Yep.
Thanks for being here for 4 episodes.
4? Oh yeah.
You can be our Pete Best before we get really famous and you get kicked out early on.
Yeah, I'll start doing the drawings as I'm like the monthly special guest or the yearly special guest.
Yep. Anyway, I think that's us.
Sweet.
Don't like, comment, and subscribe, and put whatever comment you reckon is appropriate in the comments. And if it relates to Robert being a fucking swine, I probably agree.
Do you know? I probably agree as well.
Yeah, that's fine. So.